Children with ADHD are going to lie, and this also occurs for adults. It doesn't mean that your child is a bad seed, but it could mean a lot of other things. Make sure you listen to the What's Eating You podcast on a regular basis, where we give you lots of tips and tricks when it comes to your mental health.
Welcome to the What's Eating You podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, and I'm a psychologist, published author, and public speaker here to educate and validate. Enjoy the show.
If you're new, welcome back. My name is Stephanie, and I'm a clinical psychologist here to help you understand your brain and the brains of others. Now, today's question comes from a listener from my Psychology Sunday on Instagram. So every Sunday, I put a box asking you what your questions are for the week. And this week, it was a lady asking about lying in ADHD. And she said, why do children with ADHD have trouble with honesty and responsibility? And it's true. Kids and adults with ADHD can be more prone to lying, and this episode is going to explain why. Lying in ADHD for children, we're going to talk about a deeper understanding of this neurodevelopmental disorder. I'm going to cover what ADHD is, the 4 reasons that kids tend to lie, and practical tools and strategies to manage this. So if you know a mum, a dad, anyone who has someone in their life with ADHD and they experience lying, you're going to want to send them this episode. I learned so much about this, just about lying in general and what you can actually do to help, because lying can be extremely triggering. It can be really upsetting, and it can often make you question your relationship with someone. Now, this episode is going to focus on children. However, I think the lessons learned can be really helpful across the board. So make sure you take notes, leave a review, and let's get into it. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects millions of children worldwide. It's characterized by symptoms such as inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. But beyond these well-known traits, children with ADHD often face challenges with honesty and responsibility. So we're going to take a deep dive into the reasons behind this. We know that children with ADHD have different brain structures, and the way they function can vary, particularly in the areas related to attention, impulse control, and executive functioning. So your executive functioning are skills, mental skills that include working memory, flexible thinking, and self-control. These skills are crucial for planning, focusing, remembering, remember that because remembering is important, and juggling multiple tasks successfully. Here's an important note. People with ADHD who lie aren't inherently bad people, or most of them, and your child who lies is not a bad seed. When people with ADHD lie, it can really feel as though you're being gaslighted, and I'm not here to invalidate anyone's experience of this, but more so to raise awareness around the behavior. Because many people, particularly in relationships or people who experience this on the other end, who get lied to, can think, am I a bad mother? Am I doing something wrong? Am I a bad partner? Do I deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? So I just want to validate everyone's experience and give you another perspective today, okay? For example, if we're talking about adults, your friend might say, I gave you the key, when in fact they never handed you a key at all. You can think, am I being played right now? Am I being gaslit? And in their mind, they really believe that this happened. I want you to take away this. Every behavior serves a function, whether it's lying, whether it's drinking, whether it's hoarding, whether it's eating paper. Every behavior serves a function, and we need to figure out what that function is about. Now, your behaviors can be adaptive or maladaptive. So adaptive means it's functional and useful, and maladaptive is it's dysfunctional and it's not useful, especially long term. So example of adaptive behaviors might be going for a walk, journaling, going to therapy. And maladaptive might be alcohol use, promiscuity, lying. But they all come with the same intention, to get rid of discomfort or pain. Whatever we do in life is geared towards avoiding pain and getting pleasure. Lying is just another dysfunctional coping mechanism in your child's ADHD box of unhelpful tools. Remember this: people with ADHD, especially children, are often 3 years behind in maturing, so it might take them more time to grow out of this lying coping tool. We know, especially with adults, that their frontal lobe is developmentally delayed. So, being mature and their frontal brain growing and developing is actually slower than people who are neurotypical. There are 4 reasons why people with ADHD may lie, especially children. Okay. And what the research has found is children with ADHD may be dishonest, but this is usually the result of uncontrolled ADHD symptoms. So if someone is lying to you, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, I want to first ask is this unmanaged ADHD? Or how long have they been managing it for? Okay, because usually something that is unmanaged is going to go a little bit rogue until we get it managed. So, difficulties with dishonesty occur for 4 main reasons. 1, impulsivity and memory. 2, magical thinking. 3, emotion regulation. And 4, avoidance and difficulty perspective taking. I'm going to go through these one by one. Impulsivity. We know that people with ADHD struggle with impulsivity. So what this means is you struggle to hold back from doing things. They don't really have that filter that says, I really have the urge to run across the road, but I should stop and look first before I do that. So children with ADHD often act on impulse without fully considering the consequence of their actions. Now, this impulsivity can lead them to lie without thinking about it, especially if they're trying to avoid immediate trouble. Don't forget, people with ADHD often grow up getting in trouble. Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Why can't you sit still? Be like the other kids. They grow up trying to avoid this, avoid getting into trouble. And lying may have served a need at a certain point in time. Have you ever lied because you were scared of the consequences? Did you ever lie to your parents when you were sneaking out because you were afraid of what might happen? Remember, we're not all angels here. The impulsivity leads people to lie before they've even thought it through or thought, crap, if I keep going with this lie, it's going to get me in a bigger hole. But immediately, people might lie to avoid the discomfort that they experience, especially if they've gotten in trouble in the past, okay? Memory issues. ADHD can affect working memory, making it hard for children to remember past events accurately. This can lead to unintentional dishonesty, as they might genuinely forget details or misremember them. So remember, they might not be lying to be deceitful or awful. They may not actually remember something that's happened. So just really be mindful of this. The second thing is magical thinking. The key to understanding the connection between ADHD and lying is a concept called magical thinking. This is more in children. So, for example, your child with ADHD just does something impulsive, right? They grab a texter and they just write all over the wall. And it was something outside of their control and they were unable to stop themselves. Okay? Kind of like if you'd sleptwalked and you ate a whole cake and then you snapped out of it and you're thinking, oh my God, what have I just done? You wish you hadn't done it. And sometimes magical thinking allows a child to imagine that they didn't do it. So, especially toddlers, right? When they're around that age of 10 years old, children are egocentric, meaning they believe they are the cause of things around them, like a magical rainbow or if someone is sad. They also believe in pretend and the animation of inanimate objects. They believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. Now, this sense of magical thinking allows a child with ADHD to, quote unquote, wish away what thing they had just done, right? If they say they didn't happen, then perhaps they can undo it. Perhaps it didn't happen after all. So, for example, did you write on the walls? No, I didn't. That moment of magical thinking before they've realized the consequence of what they've done makes them think that maybe I didn't do it, right? Now, while magical thinking does disappear with age, there's certain aspects of it that may stay into adulthood. Since at the end of the day, we all live in a world where we wish could be the way we wanted it to be. So it really just depends at the end of the day how aware is someone of their behavior and if they've worked to change it as to whether magical thinking can disappear. The third reason for dishonesty and difficulty with responsibility in ADHD is we know the brain is slower to develop. We know there's difficulties with impulsivity, is emotion regulation. So children have big feelings. Children with ADHD struggle to tolerate big feelings, their own and those of their parents. Okay? If a child has done something wrong and they lie about it, like the drawing on the wall, if the child says, I didn't do it, then she has a shot at convincing mum it was true and potentially avoiding angry mum. So she doesn't have to tolerate mum's anger. But if they're unsuccessful and they see mum's anger coupled by their own frustration and their own disappointment, this can create a storm of feelings that are really hard to manage. Okay? So running away might be the answer, having a tantrum, etc. So we really have to work with children and work with people to help regulate their emotions. So regulating your emotions, just being able to notice when you're triggered or activated or upset, and using breathing strategies to help you cope and to help you manage more effectively. And the last reason for lying or dishonesty in ADHD is avoidance. So other times, children with ADHD often avoid a task and they'll lie to avoid it. Have you done your homework? Did you eat all your carrots? Now, the magical thinking is that the task will go away if the child said it's already done. Then they get caught in the lie, the impulsivity happens, and the magical thinking pushes them further down the rabbit hole. So the avoidance is really about fear of negative consequences. Because people with ADHD often face criticism or punishment for being impulsive, children with ADHD might lie to avoid these negative outcomes, even if they know it's wrong. They also struggle with perspective taking. So understanding how their actions can affect others can be really challenging, really putting themselves in other people's shoes because they are impulsive. So they might lie without even realizing the impacts it has on other people. So now you've heard all this, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, how do we manage this? What are the strategies and tools? So I'm going to go through the 4 R's. The 4 R's is a strategy to help you manage ADHD lying. Number 1 is regulate yourself. I know when someone lies, it can be infuriating and it can be really, really, really hard to manage and hard to regulate yourself, especially if you have ADHD too. So I just want you to take a moment, take a deep breath, and notice when you're triggered or activated and just name it. So I'm feeling frustrated because my kid just lied to me, and that's totally normal and that is okay. Now, only when you are calm and collected, then bring it up with your children, because dysregulated nervous systems dysregulate us, which dysregulate children, and it's going to be a storm. The second R is reflective understanding. So what you're going to do is you're going to reflect your understanding to your child and say, I understand that you wish you didn't draw on the wall and you would like to take it back if you could. So we're really validating that desire to use magical thinking. If you come alongside your child and show them that you understand why they lied, you may find that they feel safe to acknowledge it. And your calm approach can help build the infrastructure we need to handle all those big feelings that erupted. So 2, reflective understanding. Reflect what happened, incorporate empathy, incorporate understanding in there. 3 is reparation, right? A lot of mums are so hard on themselves because of how they react or how they lose their cool. But what's more important than the rupture is the reparation. And involve your child in this. How do you think we could make this better? Give your child an opportunity to be part of the solution to the problem they created. This empowers your child to take responsibility for their actions. Now, they may just shrug it off, but if you keep consistent with this, eventually it can help create a mindful approach to the cause and effect of action. And number 4 is restitution. So, in some cases, the solution might be helping your child to clean the wall or helping them fix the problem in the first place. This could be a simple apology or a written note. And it may be important to reflect on the reason your child may have lied. Was it impulsive? Was it avoidance? Was it one of those 4 core reasons? If your child is avoiding a task, then the onus might be on you to determine whether the task is too big for them. Did you give them too much broccoli? Were your expectations too high? Did you leave the textures in a place near the wall that was easy for them to use, right? It's really important for us to be able to say, do you know what? Did I play a part in this? Is there anything I can do to help this? Is the homework too much? Maybe there's fine motor issues that make holding a pen difficult, whatever it is, and that's why they're not doing their homework. Be a detective before you can be a judge, and see if you can determine where your child's need to lie comes from and where you can manage it effectively. At the end of the day, aim to figure out why lying occurs and why it persists. If a child is struggling with problems at school, with their peers or their parents, just remember ADHD is hard enough. So lying could be a part of this. If the lies are deliberate and malicious, if they involve awful behavior or really challenging behavior, then make sure you seek professional help and you're really consistent with your approach. Okay? But having a heartfelt chat with your child or your teen can help you build the trust and, equally important, help you help them on how to repair it. I hope you found this episode useful. If you want any related episodes, just scroll down to the bottom and I've put some there for you. But please let me know if you enjoyed this. And if you've got a question, let me know on my Instagram. Take care and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I am truly grateful for you being here. If you got something out of today's show, please take a moment to leave a rating or review. To access more resources or support, check out the show notes below. See you next time.